The 3DS, a hot little piece of tech that launched in 2011 and introduced the world to handheld 3D-based entertainment.
Let him out, Reggie, let him out!
And it was a bad launch. You see, this was still the era when Nintendo was in divorced dad mode and the kids went off to go live with the new, cool Xbox 360 stepdad that had Doritos and Mountain Dew, while Nintendo was trying to make it work with their new love, the white suburban mom. Aw, come on kids, Betsy isn't that bad and makes a killer watermelon pizza. That's cool, right? So when this bit of tech hit store shelves, players could look forward to games like 4 versions of Nintendogs, plus Cats, Ridge Racer 3D,
Ridge Racer,
and Pilot Wings. Neat! But after a while, the game started to pick up some traction and built up a library that would end up being Nintendo's life support, as this was happening over on the home console front.
Wii U. With Wii U, we can play Super Mario 3D. Find secrets with the Wii U gamepad.
But we're beyond those days. We're living in the Switch golden age at the moment, and surely Nintendo won't make the same mistakes twice, right? And with the recent launch of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and the upcoming Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, it seems as though the lads in Kyoto have figured out a solid porting process to get games from here to here. So come on down with me on a little journey as we'll will into existence some of the top games from the 3DS's library that we need to see ported over to the Switch, or more likely the Switch 2. Because as we know, they're done porting things over from the Wii U. They've gotten everything they can from that system. Dude, get yourself a girl who loves you as much as Sakurai loves putting Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Fire Emblem has been around for a long time, launching in Japan on the Famicom in 1990 and being a mainstay for Japanese Nintendo fans ever since. We here in the West have dabbled with the franchise every now and then, meeting Roy and Marth in Melee in 2001, and getting treated to the occasional title here or there. But Fire Emblem finally was truly able to find success outside of Japan through Fire Emblem Awakening. This game popped hard on the 3DS. It was the first Fire Emblem game I bought, and all my friends with 3DSs were quick to pick it up too. It kicked off Fire Emblem's modern renaissance and is so beloved by many that expanding it out even further to a new audience seems like an obvious choice. A memorable soundtrack, fun tactical-based combat with real consequences when someone dies, and character designs that got me questioning my sexuality. You can't go wrong here. It was also one of the 3DS's more sizable games, so I think it would lend itself well to Switch's hybrid model. That being said, this would probably be one of the harder 3DS ports to pull off. This game was obviously built for the 3DS. Unlike other titles that have been ported, the touchscreen here is essential to the gameplay, and it really is a 2-screen experience. That being said though, since Nintendo is being cute and charging the full Switch price for the 3DS ports these days, maybe it's not unwarranted to ask for a title that would require a little bit more TLC in the transition process. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. This kinda sorta sequel to A Link to the Past, I don't know man, hashtag the timeline doesn't matter, is an excellent 2D Zelda experience. It has everything you would expect. An arsenal of fun items that switch up the gameplay, cool temple designs, this little jingle when you solve a puzzle, neat bosses, mommy, it has it all, baby. This game was a joy to play from start to finish. It's a very simple return to this version of Hyrule, but it doesn't need to be anything more than that. And on a platform where Link can do this, maybe some classic Zelda isn't a bad idea. Now that's not to say this game can't get a little funky now. Watch this. Pretty cool, huh? The painting gimmick really does enhance dungeon traversal quite a bit and allows for some neat puzzle solving here. The Switch is already seeing a lot of 2D Zelda love, and I'd love for this game to help continue that initiative. And can you imagine how funny it would be for this game to get ported over before Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD? I know I'd be disappointed. It's the most Nintendo-ass move ever. So let's do it, Aonuma. Let's break some hearts. Next up is Paper Mario Sticker Star. Just kidding, fuck that game. Rotten hell where you belong. The Switch has been a bit of a Metroid machine. Nintendo is doing more work here to breathe some much needed life into the bounty hunter than they have in a long time. It started with Metroid Prime 4's announcement, then we got Dread, Metroid Prime Remastered, and of course legacy titles throughout the Nintendo Switch Online apps. But notably, at the start of the Switch's life cycle, Nintendo did this cool magic trick where they weren't sure the Switch would be a success, so they didn't want to abandon the 3DS completely and still threw it the occasional bone. One of said bones was Samus Returns, a remake of Game Boy's Metroid 2. I think this is one of Nintendo's biggest biggest flubs. This game was announced at the same direct as Metroid Prime 4, and it would have been a nice kickstart to the support Metroid has seen on Switch and would have probably sold like a billion more copies than it did on the 3DS. We were hungry for anything on the Switch in the year of our Lord 2017. We were like, Mom, you don't get it. It works on the TV and in my hands. So I view this as a way for Nintendo to right a wrong. Also, personally, my dumb ass just waited too long to like Metroid. I wasn't really in until Dread and my 3DS died a few years back, so I'm not really trying to buy a new one right now. So like, Nintendo, just let me spend $60 here instead, please. Super Mario 3D Land. Without it, we wouldn't have Super Mario 3D World.
Meow.
This game brought me into the 3DS ecosystem. I just had to know what I was missing. Blending 2D Mario design philosophies in a 3D space gives it a 2.5 feel that isn't really something we see outside of these two titles. Even today, I think that 3D Land could feel fresh for a lot of people who missed it. Nintendo showed up with this one. It wasn't a phoned-in Mario sequel like that other guy. It was a properly crafted Mario platformer. It wasn't very hard, and I think that 3D World expands upon the foundation that was set here in a much better way, but it's worth the time. And it's Mario, so you know it's gonna sell a ton. It doesn't even matter. Come home, Miyamoto. Your mother misses you. Finally, we have one of the weirdest but most memorable games that the 3DS has to offer, Tomodachi Life. This life sim gives players a glimpse as to what is actually going on in the Mii Maker waiting room. The charm of this game is that you'll never know what the Miis you put into this world will do or say. They might fall in love with each other, have weird Benadryl-induced dreams, perform some nonsensical stage play, It's a strange, fascinating, hilarious experience. I think a port of Tomodachi Life would be great, but to be honest, it would be even better if they expanded things a bit. Maybe since we don't have Street Pass anymore, allow for people to connect online and make it more of a community-based experience to see how everyone's Miis interact with one another. Also, expanding out the scenarios Miis could get into, as well as add a bit more to do in regards to activities or minigames isn't a bad idea. This game was really meant for quick bursts of gameplay. Hop in daily to see what today's latest had to offer and put it away, which still works on Switch, but giving players more of a reason to hang out in the game isn't a bad idea in my opinion. Nonetheless, it's a shame it's stuck to the 3DS, and bringing it over to the Switch in some sort of capacity would be very welcome. Well, there it is, another list of Nintendo fan hopium looking into what we can play from the past rather than be excited about what is coming up on the horizon.
Ooh, self-burn. Those are rare.
The prospect of getting traditionally portable games on a home console is exciting for me, as it only further cements that Nintendo is going to stay in this groovy hybrid space for quite some time to come. But what do you think? What 3DS favorites would you like to see rescued from the clutches of obscurity? As always, thanks for watching, and if you're feeling a little frisky, why don't you give that subscribe or thumbs up button a little touch of the stylus. See you later!